All right, so I am on chapter 17. And this has been a bit of a roller coaster, this book, so far. I'm halfway through, but let me just, or halfway through chapter 7, but let me just let you know kind of how I'm feeling about this book so far. Now, it has had amazing high notes. Amazing high notes. But also, and you know, I've been going through it quite quickly. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I am loving it on this entry. Sometimes I read things quick when I'm just wanting it to be done a little bit. And a little bit more than the other ones, I've been just kind of wanting to get to trawl and wanting to coast a little bit more in the story, and I have struggled to kind of keep engaged with some of these characters. And whenever, you know, I love these characters, I really do. And a part of it is because, you know, maybe a part of what I'm feeling is I haven't eaten for a few hours, so it could be that. But you know, sometimes I love when Steven Erikson sticks on the gas pedal, adds new characters, adds new things, lots to kind of be engaged with, and you get out of it what you want to put in. But sometimes I don't want to put in as much effort in some of these scenes. I loved the scene with Egatan. I loved the scene, I think it was chapter 15, with the Hounds of Shadow coming into that place, and Perrin and Polale and Quickben and Absalar and all that. It's been nice to have some of those. But I get so lost in the weeds with some of these military extras, I would call them. And it's just hard to keep everything straight. This is definitely the most epic thing that I've read. And it always feels, or at times it feels just a little beyond my grasp. Especially when I don't want to always slow down and remember everything. In you know, whenever I get to a character in most books, sometimes I'll think, okay, well, where has this character gone in this book? But if I did that with all of these characters, I would just forget. I would just get so bogged down. And so sometimes it's just hard to keep engaged at that high level. For example, I had at the start of chapter 17, there's some word about what was his name? The guy that was kind of a officer or whatever for Trull, starts with an A, and starts kind of reminiscing about the Tistandi and Silchus and Scabandari and Animander Rake and that whole thing, and how they kind of became a part of the Edur, but they're more Andi plus these blue, I can't remember even what they're called. You know, usually I'm all for that stuff, but when I'm already juggling 4 or 5 balls, I don't have time for 6, 7, 8. And yeah, so there's just been some times in this one where that has happened, where generally it's been straightforward, but then I just get reminded of some of these other things that I've already kind of closed the door on that, or, you know, mentally I just have the stuff with that happened in Midnight Tides kind of over there. And now in Subbook 3, after all this stuff that has happened in Subbook 1, 2, and 3, now it's kind of bringing that up again, which I've been wanting. But holy smokes, it just can sometimes be a little bit overload, even though I've really liked it still. And I've said it a million times, I can't wait for a reread, because I feel like I will be able to kind of let out a breath and really knowing where a lot of these characters go, or remembering that, it will help me kind of focus on the things I need to focus on a little bit. Because right now, it's like I'm looking at, if there's a mention of a crack in a wall, I'm hyper focused on that stinking crack, and it might just be nothing. Anyway, we've gotten to this point in halfway through chapter 17, and I don't know why Ikariam and Veed are on this ship, this Edur ship. Like, that totally, I probably read that like this last 24 hours, and I can't remember. I can't really recall what happened that got him on this ship. It's cool. I love that the Edur are bringing everyone over to fight Rulad and kind of be his guest of honor. They treat him so well until they have these duels, and sometimes they actually do defeat Rulad and he comes back more powerful, just like they want. It's kind of wanting that. And so Ikariam's on the way, which, holy smokes, I hope Mappo shows up. Karsa's on the way, and then we skip to this part, and this is why I love Troll and Onrak more than any of them. Now, I'm a sucker for just the good guy, I guess. You know, I love the villains. I love the villains and everything. Sometimes a great villain makes the movie or makes the book. I'm a sucker for old softy Troll, and as also a softie for Onrak. Now, they've been having these waves of Tist Edur fighting for the throne, and Manala's talking to Cotillion, saying they have all these losses with these young assassin types that they've been training. And Troll has been busy staying there of his own volition to fight his own people to protect these children. And then he weeps between these waves of assaults, probably weeping for both sides, the ones that are he's defeating and the ones that are just everyone who's being cut down. So how can you not like Troll? How can you not love Troll? And he is super legit as well as a spear fighter. And then there's Onrak, who is also staying, and of his own volition, which is something that the Talan Imaz don't seem to have as part of their culture or their makeup. They do things out of their duty and their vows and their, you know, it sounds like they're kind of more told what to do, and that's probably an overly simplistic way of looking at that, but he's staying for his loyalty to Troll. And I've been flipping waiting for this moment for, it's almost 2,000 pages now. Been waiting for this since the end of House of Chains. That's why I rushed to Midnight Tides, because I was so excited for this moment that we're finally getting to. So excited. Now, depending on how this goes, where I would rank the Bonehunters in the series so far, I don't know. I don't know until I see the ending of this, because it's been fun and exciting, but it hasn't had some of the emotional, impactful moments or things that really made me stick the book down and want to chew on it for a while. Obviously, I had chapter 7, and there have been great epigraphs and there have been great moments with these characters. In a lot of ways, it's been more of an exciting traditional fantasy book where there's just a lot of interesting things happening. But maybe I haven't. It could be that I'm getting a little fatigued and I need just a little break in between, even for a few weeks. Of course, I say that and then I'll go right to the next one. We've seen me say this before, but yeah. So we'll see. I've really loved Moments, and I have been engaged this whole time. So when I say it might not be my favorite so far, or I'm confused about where it lands so far, or I'm just confused about the story, overall I've been very high on all the books, and I am very high on this one again. So just in relation to something like Memories of Ice, that was so impactful as we saw these characters go through a lot of this, just kind of these different mental mental illness issues and depression and struggles and building yourself out of it. It was just so strong as an overall theme in that book. And as well as with House of Chains, it has a different kind of theme that was so strong. And in Midnight Tides, a different kind of theme. In this one, I like this rebirth theme that keeps going on, but it maybe I feel like we could have got it without some of the stuff that's happening. I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling. Maybe I'm just rambling. But I don't know where I would put it so far. Really have liked it, but this is I was a little discouraged by how much I was still getting thrown at me, and it feels like I'm always just right there on getting some closure on some of these things, and then he just pulls it away again. You know what I mean? I feel like I don't want to get to the end of this and it be like Lost, like the show Lost, where there's, I still love Lost, and I did like the finale. A lot of people didn't like the finale because there were a lot of loose ends. I'm afraid that there's going to be so many loose ends in this that I'm just going to come away a little frustrated. But with how much people say they love the conclusion of this series, I'm sure I'm going to love it as well. But there are just some things where I wish we could just close the door on a couple of these storylines, because it seems like so much for my little mind to juggle. But we'll see where this goes, and I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully I won't be in a car.